When your enemies realized they could never touch your success, they shifted strategies. They went after your name, because that's how cowardice always begins. Not with confrontation, not with bravery, but with whispers in dim corners and hushed tones behind closed doors. It started the moment someone saw your calm as a threat, and your peace as something too valuable to exist freely in a world addicted to chaos. They sent someone to dig, someone to investigate, someone convinced they would finally uncover something scandalous, something they could weaponize. But what they never anticipated was that every person who had genuinely known you, every soul who had experienced your character up close, buried those rumors instead of feeding them. The second the questions began, the gossip died its own death. Because when lies collide with a lifetime of integrity, they don't just fall apart, they shatter into dust. When you live clean, even investigations turn into testimonies. The same mouths they hoped would accuse you became the voices that defended you. The stories they twisted snapped back into truth, and every fabricated rumor folded under the weight of undeniable reality. Facts don't bow to jealousy, and your truth didn't flinch under the harsh spotlight they hoped would expose you. They expected to catch you slipping, but instead all they saw reflected was themselves, small, threatened, trembling in the mirror of your strength. You can almost hear their frustration now, the sound of disappointment echoing from those who prayed for your downfall and were forced to witness your elevation instead. Chosen one, take a breath. That energy pulsing through your chest right now isn't luck or relief. It's vindication. You stood firm while the universe rewrote the narrative in real time. Nothing that unfolded was random. It was exposure season. They mistook your silence for weakness, never realizing silence is where the universe builds suspense before the reveal. You've been walking into rooms recently where the smiles don't match the eyes, where conversations erupt the moment you walk away, where your presence lingers long after your footsteps fade. That's because your energy leaves evidence, proof of power without a single word spoken. And when that so-called investigator showed up, rehearsed questions in hand, hoping to extract something damaging, your reputation answered before anyone else could. They expected chaos but met calm. They expected scandal but encountered composure. They expected drama but received discipline. One coworker said, "They never fold under pressure." Another added, "If anything, they've helped more people than they'll ever admit." It became silent in the room when the final report returned. Not clean, but glowing. They didn't find dirt. They found gold. And that's when the envy burned hottest. Because those who hated you weren't seeking truth. They were seeking confirmation of a fantasy they built in their heads. They wanted proof that you were fake, but instead discovered you were more real than they could ever be. Their jealousy shifted from emotional to physical, visible in the way they avoid your eyes, in the way their voices shrink when your name is spoken. You've become their uncomfortable truth, a living reminder that authenticity still survives the smear campaign. Understand this. They don't hate you for what you did. They hate you for what you refused to do. You didn't crumble. You didn't break. You didn't hand them your peace or feed their rumor mill. And when the truth surfaced, it didn't just clear your name, it stamped your legacy. They thought they were exposing you, but the universe exposed them. Betrayal becomes predictable once you start living at a higher frequency. The same pattern always returns. The whisper network, the fake empathy, the silent observers who hope to see you stumble. But you've seen this movie before, and you already know how it ends. The truth always walks back wearing your face. Those who studied you, hoping to copy or destroy you, became your unpaid promoters. History has always followed this pattern. Legends mocked before they were memorialized, innovators doubted before they were quoted, prophets dismissed before they were honored. You belong to that same lineage of misunderstood greatness. You were never being investigated. You were being documented. What they didn't realize was that the universe was taking notes the whole time. Every lie they told became proof of your patience. Every rumor they spread turned into evidence of your character. You weren't being tested. You were being recorded for your next victory. The universe watched the gossip, the humiliation, the false accusations, and whispered, "Perfect. Now, let's flip it." And it did, because now your name doesn't just exist in conversations, it lives in respect. People are realizing that the quietest person in the room was the most powerful the entire time. And for the ones who sent the investigator, let's just say they dug their own grave, believing it was yours. They didn't destroy you. They made you unforgettable. This is your vindication season, chosen one. Every whisper meant to harm you became a spotlight revealing your truth. You fought no one. You argued with no one. You defended nothing. Your reputation did all the work for you. The same mouths that tried to bury your name now can't stop speaking it. And you, yes, you, the one whose name was dragged through mud that never stuck, are about to witness the most poetic reversal imaginable. Their little investigation backfired so beautifully, it transformed into your applause. The universe defended your name while you said nothing. Now you're not just surviving, you're elevating. If you've ever been lied about, envied, or doubted, understand. They went digging for dirt and struck gold instead. You cannot expose someone who has nothing to hide. You can only expose your own obsession with watching them fall. They thought your name was a ticking bomb waiting to explode, but the only explosion was their embarrassment when the dirt turned out to be roots. Deep, strong, and unshakable. They sent someone to search for flaws, and he came back with evidence of excellence. They weren't chasing truth, they were chasing power. But how do you destroy someone whose strength is authenticity? How do you ruin someone whose silence is their shield? Every question they asked about you returned with the same answer. Solid, grounded, respected. Their plan didn't just fail, it flipped. They handed you a background check and you transformed it into a background blessing. They set out to expose a fraud and instead expose their own projection. Because envy never hates you for your wrongs. It hates you for your rights. You didn't collapse when life tried to humiliate you. You didn't panic when their whispers spread. Your peace was louder than their gossip. You don't have skeletons. You have standards. And that's why they can't stand you. You are a living contradiction to their lies. They claimed you were fake, yet every day the world confirms you're the truth. Clean living and consistency are the real power moves in a culture addicted to chaos. People who lose control of their story will always try to rewrite yours. But your glow exposes their emptiness. Every attempt they made to bury you only fertilized your growth. They planted rumors. You grew proof. They watered lies. You bloomed receipts. And now the same people who called you too good to be true realize you were simply too true to be broken. Because here's the ultimate truth. People cannot destroy what they can't define. They will never understand your calm because they keep mistaking quiet for weakness. They misread your boundaries as guilt. But you're not hiding. You're healing. You're not silent because you're scared. You're silent because you already won. They wanted to watch you unravel, not knowing you are the thread holding the entire tapestry together. They waited eagerly for scandal, for collapse, for downfall, refreshing screens, hoping for bad news, only to see glowing testimony instead. Their fantasy suffocated under the weight of facts. You are living proof that the universe protects those who walk in truth. And truth doesn't argue, it reveals. Your reputation didn't need saving. It just needed time. The longer they talked, the more their words destroyed their credibility, not yours. You stood still while they ruined their own peace trying to chase yours. That is poetic justice. While they waited for your name to crumble, it climbed into rooms that matter. They wanted scandal. They got applause. They prayed for dirt and found nothing but gold. Remember this. You owe no explanation to people addicted to confusion. The truth doesn't panic under pressure. It stands unshaken. You are living proof that no investigation can erase integrity built over years of quiet discipline. They tried to put your name on trial, but instead it ended up engraved in recognition. They tried to ruin your reputation, but only made it undeniable. They wanted to feed off your downfall and instead choked on your elevation. That's what clean living does. It transforms gossip into gospel, lies into lessons, and enemies into accidental marketers of your greatness. Let them keep talking. Every time they say your name, it shines brighter. You don't need revenge. You are the revenge. Their disappointment is your justice. Their obsession is your trophy. You didn't lift a finger. The universe did the cleanup. And nothing burns them more than watching you win peacefully. So, stay right here, chosen one. Because you didn't just pass their test, you were never even taking it. They put faith in crowds, believing numbers could drown out integrity. But people have awakened. They feel what's real. They watched you show up, stay disciplined, walk with quiet confidence, and carry your dignity like armor. When lies tried to replace you, your presence stood taller. And when the streets were asked to choose sides, they chose truth. People remembered your energy, your kindness, your composure, your restraint. Those memories built the defense that saved you without you saying a word. Enemies refreshed their screens waiting for your collapse and instead read praise. The investigator expected chaos but returned stunned, saying, "Actually, they're one of the calmest, most solid people I've ever met." Their fantasy died in the echo of your truth. That's real justice. Because when truth and lies walk the same road, only truth leaves footprints. And when you've spent years planting goodness, the harvest will always arrive, no matter how loud the storm. They thought the streets would turn against you. Instead, the streets testified. The whispers they relied on drowned beneath the roar of reality. And now the same people who poisoned conversations with gossip must sit in silence while your name rises higher than ever. They wanted a scandal. You became a standing ovation. They went digging for dirt and hit gold. They tried to expose you and only exposed themselves. And that, chosen one, is divine reversal. The same mouths that once cursed you are now choking on your name because truth has a strange way of resurfacing at the exact moment it becomes the most painful to the guilty. The story they tried to build around you was never strong enough to stand, because rumor is a fragile machine powered only by the weak hands that assemble it. And weak hands always shake. They built their accusations like cheap scaffolding, hoping that if they stacked enough lies on top of each other, it would look tall enough to intimidate people into belief. But they forgot something. Lies don't have foundations. And when the first real wind of truth picked up, it tore through everything they constructed like it was made of wet paper. They thought they had won. When you walked away quietly, when you refused to defend yourself, when you chose silence instead of spectacle, they celebrated, believing your calm meant defeat, believing your restraint meant surrender. But what they failed to understand is that silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. Silence is a storm waiting for its cue. Because while they were busy whispering behind doors and trading stories like currency, the universe was orchestrating a reversal so precise it could only be described as divine. Every conversation they planted eventually reached the wrong ears. Every lie they told eventually contradicted another lie they told earlier. Every person they tried to turn against you ended up questioning why someone so dangerous needed such a desperate chorus of support to be believed. People began to notice the cracks. They started to wonder why the one screaming the loudest seemed the most nervous. They started to recognize that real danger doesn't announce itself. It moves silently. Real power doesn't recruit armies. It stands alone and still dominates. Real truth doesn't need rehearsals. It simply exists. And slowly, one by one, individuals began to break away from the collective illusion and speak up. Some defended you publicly. Others defended you privately. And the most powerful ones defended you in rooms where you were not present and could never hear them because their conscience demanded it. That's when everything began to shift. those who tried to sabotage you, were suddenly forced to explain inconsistencies they never expected to be questioned on. Their confidence cracked, their stories unraveled, their rehearsed performances collapsed, their tone changed overnight from triumphant to terrified. Eyes that once stared at you boldly now scatter downward. Voices that once barked accusations now tremble, soft and uncertain, avoiding confrontation. They no longer speak about you with pride. They speak about you with caution, like someone describing a force they underestimated and now fear. They thought they were burying you beneath dirt, not realizing you were a seed. They thought they were ending you, not realizing they were activating you. They thought they were winning, not realizing the universe was silently keeping score the entire time. And now look around. The same streets that once echoed with rumors now speak your name with reverence. Strangers who once looked at you with suspicion now smile with respect. People who never spoke to you before approach with curiosity, eager to understand the person who survived a war without ever picking up a weapon. Because that's what truly terrifies them. You didn't just survive. You never even bled. You remained unshaken, unbothered, untouched by chaos they spent months manufacturing. You didn't raise your voice. You didn't fight publicly. You didn't throw dirt back. You simply kept living, kept moving, kept growing. And the universe rewarded your discipline with a victory loud enough to echo across every one of their alliances. They can't understand how you rose from something that was designed to destroy you. They can't explain how you kept your composure while they lost theirs. They can't comprehend how the truth came to light without you having to expose anything yourself. That's why they're still talking, still scrambling, still grasping for control that slipped through their fingers the moment you refused to play their game. They lost the instant you walked away. They just didn't know it yet. And now they are forced to watch you rise in real time, forced to witness the unfolding of a story they tried desperately to rewrite. You have become living proof that spiritual protection is far louder than public defense. Your silence became their sentencing. Your patience became their punishment. Your resilience became their regret. Understand something. Their fear of you is not rooted in who you were. It is rooted in who you are becoming. They know they cannot stop what is coming. They know they cannot rewrite what has already been corrected. And they know that the story they created no longer has an audience. People are switching sides, switching opinions, switching alliances, not because you begged them to, but because truth revealed itself. People are switching sides, switching opinions, switching alliances, not because you begged them to, but because truth revealed itself. And once truth arrives, it cannot be unseen. Suddenly, the room feels different. The atmosphere shifts when you walk in. People straighten up, adjust their tone, choose their words carefully because they now understand that your name carries weight. Not because you fought for validation, but because your character earned it on its own. They used to watch you with curiosity. Now they watch you with respect. And beneath that respect, fear. Fear of what you know. Fear of what you survived. Fear of the way you move with such unbothered certainty, as if you carry secret knowledge the world isn't ready to hear. Fear because they finally realize the truth they prayed no one would ever uncover. You cannot be replaced. You cannot be duplicated. You cannot be copied or cloned or manufactured in a lab of envy. You are one of one, irreplaceable, unforgettable, and unrepeatable. And nothing terrifies the insecure more than authenticity they cannot fake. They expected you to fall apart under pressure, assuming the weight of their lies would collapse your spine. Instead, you stood taller than ever. You didn't bend, you didn't bow, you didn't beg. You transformed, you upgraded, you evolved in silence so loudly that it left them speechless. And now they are the ones who cannot sleep, replaying conversations in their heads, wondering who exposed them, who switched sides, who broke ranks and spoke the truth. They wander through their days paranoid, haunted by the fear that everyone around them now sees through the illusion. They hear your name and flinch. They see your face and feel the sting of karma tightening its grip. They scroll through your success, hoping it's fake, hoping it's temporary, hoping it's luck, not understanding that what they're witnessing isn't luck but alignment, not coincidence but consequence, not random but divine. And now the world is watching. Eyes follow your every step. The same people who once doubted you now lean in, waiting to see what unfolds next. And that, chosen one, is the true victory. Not revenge, not retaliation, but evolution. You didn't rise by fighting. You rose by outgrowing. You rose by enduring. You rose by staying rooted in purpose. While they unraveled, you became undeniable. So inhale deeply, stand tall, lift your head. You are entering a season where every door that once closed opens wide, where every blessing taken from you returns multiplied, where those who misjudged you feel the weight of their haste. You are not simply restoring your name, you are redefining your legacy. And the very people who questioned you will one day tell others that they knew you. This is your rise, this is your turning point, this is your divine reversal. And if this message resonates in your spirit, if you know this chapter belongs to you, speak it boldly and claim it. Type, "I'm ready," and step into what has been waiting for you all along.